Airborne Kingdom is a real-time exploration and city building game developed by the Wandering Band. It's an unusual and unique take on the city builder genre. Here you explore the world around you, not with units, but with the city itself. As you pilot your floating city around the map, you'll have to make contact with 4 kingdoms across 3 territories. You'll search for resources such as food, coal and water, discover lost technologies, and uncover the fate of the ancients, the people who ran the gigantic floating city before you and whose loss has brought turmoil to the land and the kingdoms below. The game's a curious mix of exploration and city building. You'll have to manage the needs of your people, their food, water, faith and comfort demands, whilst also harvesting the resources you'll need to expand, and also the fuel to stop the floating city from dropping out of the sky like a densely populated comet. Along the way, you'll encounter smaller settlements to recruit new followers from, the amount of new citizens you get is dependent on the happiness level of your current ones, and the larger cities or kingdoms which will have new followers in addition to shops for new building blueprints, but will also have your main quest missions too. These missions can range from helping to build a particular special building which will require a donation of resources and some workers for a while, to search and rescue missions. Once completed, the kingdoms will ally with you and will request the building of a skyport in order for them to be able to connect to your floating city better. Connect all the kingdoms and help usher in a new era of peace and discover what happened to the previous floating city. Right, that's the talk. Now how's the walk? Firstly, the game is spectacular looking. The floating city model is insanely detailed and really does look like a viable piece of technology for the most part, not some MacGuffin held up with bullshit and string. Every building has its own details which get progressively more detailed as the buildings get upgraded. The movements of the citizens are very well detailed too, they each even have their own names. You can even see where each of them lives if you wish. The detail overall is superb. The land below you looks really excellent and features some brilliant environmental graphics, from the excellent sky and cloud effects to stunning water effects. But it's at night when the graphics really shine. Literally. The lighting effects are wonderful and the swoops of your collectors look just so much better. The artwork on this game is a tremendous effort and it's almost worth the cost of the game alone. Gameplay wise, it's your standard city building fare. Your citizens need to be fed, watered and housed at the beginning, with their needs for light, faith and comfort emerging as your city grows in size. Your buildings are the usual houses, storage bays, factories and shrines, with the odd outlier tossed in due to the nature of the game. You'll need to build hangars, for instance, to allow your workers to fly down to the surface to collect resources and interact with the kingdoms. You'll also need to build fans, propellers and engines too, to keep your city moving and keep it in the air. As your city grows, it gets heavier, and this creates the need for fans to generate lift and propellers to generate speed. They also consume coal, which you'll need in order to avoid pancaking your city into the ground. Another aspect to how you lay out your city is balance. Build too heavy on one side and the city will begin to tilt in that direction. The fans that generate lift also skew the angle of your city quite madly too. If your city's tilt angle goes too much, it'll start to affect the citizens' happiness levels, so it's another thing to keep an eye on. The game is very much on the relaxation side of things. There's no combat or warfare to speak of, none of the kingdoms have conflicts that you have to resolve, and the closest you'll come to an explosion is the fireworks displays when you ally with a kingdom. If you're looking to unleash death on a massive scale, this is not the game for you. Now that's not to say it's boring, however, far from it. The different territories have different makeups, so one will have progressively lower amount of food, while another will be short on coal or water. The land is also procedurally generated, so every time you play the game, there will be different landscapes, so you'll have to keep an eye out for resources and store as much as you can. There's also the ability to generate your own food and water from condensers and farms to have a go at. Managing your citizens' desires requires a lot of thought too. All the buildings that satisfy needs require people to run them, meaning your pool of workers for resource collection can run quite low if you just start building like crazy. The hunt for more settlements to increase your population is a constant one. So the game is engaging, relaxing and a joy to play. What's not to like? 3 things mar Airborne Kingdom from being a truly brilliant game. Number 1 is probably the hardest one to solve, its easiness. This is quite possibly one of the easiest games to complete that I've played since Senua's Sacrifice, which was also an excellent game. There's just really not much of a challenge here. I cleared the game in one go on my first sitting, which is a testament to how good this game is, and I never felt like I was about to fail at any stage. It never even felt close. Maybe that's the aim of the game design, that to have any higher level of difficulty would spoil the relaxational aspect of the game, and that's a fair point, but I would argue that this game would strongly benefit from having something like a hardcore mode option or something to that effect. Another issue is the game length. Airborne Kingdom has an unusual story layout for a city builder in that rather than give you different territories with different missions, it simply gives you one overarching mission spread over a number of territories. Now while this is a fresh look on the genre, it impacts the game length severely. You'll be lucky to see more than 7 hours out of Airborne Kingdom. This new take also affects the game's replayability. With only one goal to accomplish and not a huge amount of variety in the landscapes, it's unlikely you'll be giving this game a second or third playthrough.
This kingdom took to the skies. The Airborne Kingdom traveled to every kingdom on the ground, sharing knowledge, culture, and tradition. Its great council guided the lands through a golden age. Yet, long before even our elders can remember, the Airborne Kingdom vanished.
My final issue is with the story. It's sparse and what little there is told in voiceover with a static arc background. You get one blast of story at the beginning to start you off, then another at the end to bring the curtain down, and then that's pretty much it. There's no real substance to the story and it doesn't really seem to progress throughout the game in any tangible way. The story isn't the driving factor in this game. You get a prologue, you fly all over the map, and then you get an epilogue. And that's it. There's no mystery to unravel, no darkness to reveal, there's no twist in the tale. For those of you wishing to create your own Laputa, you'll be a bit disappointed. However, I do recommend this game to anyone who just wants something that's good to look at and relaxing to play with a refreshing take on a genre. This game won't suck up entire weeks of your life, it won't force you to resort to heinous action to complete your objectives, and it won't tax your brain, but it will put it at ease. It's just a nice breath of fresh air. And nowadays, we know more so than at any other time in recent history, sometimes that's all you need.